Got the tire, obviously. Got the tube partially inflated, just enough to basically hold its shape, and that's in the tire. And now we have to install the flap, which is what is sitting on top of the tire. So what we're going to do is just lube up the tube, lube up the flap as well, and get that put in there. Alright, so we have our flap surrounding the tube. And we'll get that nice and slippery on the other side of the flap as well. And one thing you want to make sure is you do not want to be getting any kind of dirt, sand, or anything else. And this should be pretty obvious, but you don't want anything getting in the tire. Alright. So that's that. Now we should be able to go ahead and put it on our rim. So ready to set it down on the rim. Get the inner bead lubed up there. And the big thing we want to concentrate on is dropping it down so that our valve stem is lined up with the slot in the rim. And we need to get that in there like that. Alright. Now we're going to lube up the outer rim, or outer bead, I should say. And we can drop our outer ring in. And that's our locking ring in. Okay, so here is the dangerous part, is seating the bead. Because if something is not lined up or seated properly, that locking ring can pop out and the entire assembly can blow apart. Typically, you would be doing this inside of a cage to protect any bystanders or anything else. Outside of having a cage, you should basically wrap chains around the tire through the center hub. For the sake of the video, I am doing this outside, propped up against the wall. I would not normally be doing this inside at any rate, but either way, the camera is about like 8 feet back from the tire. And if anything does blow loose, it's going to go out blast out into the backyard where there is nobody or anything around. So to do this, the air hose is connected to the valve stem with a locking tire chuck. So what we're going to do is, I currently have the air hose connected. The regulator on the compressor is set to 0. I'm going to go inside the garage and raise the regulator gradually to 35 to 40 psi. If the bead does not seat by 40 psi, we're going to have to pull the whole assembly apart and start from scratch. You do not want to be putting more pressure in the tire to try to seat the bead. That's just a recipe for disaster. So let me head into the garage and I will be back, and hopefully our bead will be seated. So that looks like a success. We are at 40 psi. Pressure is now releasing because I turned the regulator back down on the compressor. So what I'm going to do now, let's zoom back out. And I think we're safe enough that we can move back in here a little bit. So I am going to reseat the valve on the tire because that sounds like it's leaking a little bit. We'll let all the air pressure out and reinflate. Okay, so I've reseated our tire chuck, and this time we're going to bring the pressure up to about 45 psi, 50 psi, somewhere around there. We are currently sitting at 50 psi, at least according to the air compressor. So I will call that good. We're going to take the chuck off and now let this sit overnight to see if we have any pressure loss. Thanks for watching.